Hello everyone, my name is Hadia Rashid and I'll be your mentor for this week's lecture. And our topic will be methodology and research. Last week, we explored how to craft an introduction for your literature review paper, and I'm sure that you all have practiced writing that section in your assignments. Today, we will take it a step further and dive into something that often feels more challenging: how to conduct effective research, which is the first step to writing a sound literature review paper. Okay, so most of you have probably written essays, reports, and maybe even extended projects. Well, research at its core isn't that different. It's simply a structured way of asking questions, finding the right sources, and then putting them together to create a knowledge. And that's exactly what we will learn today. So think of research like this, that you will start by asking a question, like you will create your research question, you will work through it, and then systemically find the answers. Remember that the word systemic is the key here. That means that you don't just type something into Google and trust the very first result that you see. Instead, you will check that if the information is reliable and how to put everything together in a clear and organized way. Imagine that you're writing an essay on the topic that does social media affect student grades? What you will do? You might ask your friends, look at TikTok videos, or read the blog posts. That's the informal type of research. But in academic research, we go on to higher level. We check studies, data, and expert papers. First, you will collect your sources. These can be research papers, articles, or maybe even books. Once you have them, you don't just read them passively. You will analyze them. You will ask yourself, what are they saying and how are they saying it? After that, you begin to organize what you have found. You might group the sources into themes, patterns, or maybe even subtopics so that it all makes sense together. And finally, you connect everything back to your own research question. That's how your research and your literature review becomes meaningful. It's not just a summary of what others have said, but a way to show that how their work relates to your own research. Okay, now we will look at how to collect sources for your literature review. You will start with databases. You can use Google Scholar, PubMed, or JSTOR. Use your keywords wisely. Break your research question into smaller search terms. For example, if your topic is about social media and students, you could search for something like social media and attention span and students. And be selective. Don't just pick every single paper you see. Focus on that papers that are directly relevant to your study and come from reliable sources. And the main step is to record your sources. Always keep track of all the details like the author, year, and the title, so you don't lose your track later when you are writing. Okay, so now you might be asking a question that why should we use these databases instead of just typing our question into Google? And that's a great question. The answer is about quality and reliability. Google shows you everything: blogs, opinions, and even misinformation. But research depends upon the evidences that you can trust. All these academic databases only index peer-reviewed articles, which means that they have been checked by peers and experts before being published. These databases also let you use keywords and filters, so you can narrow down your results by year, subject, or type of study. Another reason is citations. Articles in these databases are connected to who cited them and how often they are cited. That helps you to identify which studies are influential and which of them are widely accepted in the field. Now you know that where to find trustworthy sources, your real work begins here. Use these sources to build your paragraphs. Each paragraph should have 2 to 4 sources. Remember, your body paragraphs don't come from the thin air. They are shaped by your research question. When you write the body paragraphs of a literature review, you are not just randomly filling spaces or summarizing articles. Instead, each body paragraph should grow out of your own research question. For example, let's say my topic is how social media impacts attention span and links to ADHD. I'll pick 3 papers. Paper 1 is published in 1981, for example. It's about early studies on attention span. Paper 2 is about recent neuroscience study which links dopamine and TikTok scrolling. Paper 3 is an education report on multitasking in classrooms. Now these 3 papers gives me 3 subtopics for body paragraphs. Historical perspective, which is how research on attention started. The second one is about biological or psychological mechanisms, dopamine, ADHD link. And the third one is educational outcomes, which is grades, focus, and multitasking. I got all this information from these 3 papers. Okay. Now we will move on to the next section, which is methods. You might be thinking that methods, but I didn't run any experiment, and that's true. In a literature review, your method is the way you searched, you selected, and analyzed studies. For example, I searched Google Scholar then PubMed. I used keywords social media, attention span, ADHD, education, like I told you. I only included studies published after 2010 and excluded non peer reviewed blogs. I extracted main findings and grouped them by theme. This is my methodology. Methods. It is important because it shows that your work was not random, but you followed a systemic approach, which is very important in research. Okay, let's do a small walkthrough together. Say my topic is, does social media decrease attention span in teenagers? What will I do? I go to Google Scholar. I type social media attention span teenagers. I will get a bunch of results there. Now, paper 1 might say social media uses linked with shorter focus time during study hours. Paper 2 says that there is no strong link between social media and attention span. The real issue is multitasking. Paper 3 says that high screen time correlates with ADHD like symptoms. See how interesting this gets. One says yes, one says no, one says it's complicated. And that's the beauty of research. You don't just collect data, you compare, analyze, and then show the bigger picture. And here's something important for you. Your review should focus on the most relevant and most recent work. If you fill it with too many old references, it can look outdated because research is always evolving. That doesn't mean that you ignore older and foundational studies, but you balance them with current evidence so your review feels up to date and credible. Remember that a literature review is not a book report. It's not about retelling each paper you see. It's about connecting the dots and then showing the bigger picture. Good research is not about quantity, but about relevance and credibility. And that's all for today. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up at Discord. I'll be happy to help there. Thank you so much. Bye bye.